Hi and welcome. I am Jessica Kleine, and this is a bonus module for the Mindful Money Mapping Experience. Today, I want to talk to you a little bit about a concept that is basically something that most people know about already, but it's something that I talk about a lot that I think is very important when you are talking about money, and that is the feeling of gratitude. Now, this one used to get a lot of eye rolls from me, to be honest. Anything having to do with feelings or energy or anything kind of in the fluffy space of the world and not the hard number kind of space of money. I used to just eye roll at it and shrug my shoulders and be like, yeah, whatever. I was very much a firm believer in what I could observe with my five senses. And money and numbers is about as concrete as you could get. It's numbers, right? Like when you think about money, you're thinking about bank accounts, you're thinking about numbers. So how can numbers have anything to do, or how can numbers have anything to do with anything other than math, really? I had a really hard time wrapping my mind around the idea that money had an energy to it, and that my own thoughts and feelings had a lot to do with how money showed up in my life. Now, if you've ever struggled with the idea that money is more than just numbers, or if this is a whole new world for you, talking about energy and mindset and all of that when it comes to money, kind of keep that in the back of your mind, that there's a lot more to it than just the numbers. I'm always really curious to see where other people are on this journey, to see if it's similar to mine, where you start where it's kind of very concrete and it's only numbers, and you start getting more and more into the space of the energy, the frequency, the feelings around money. Now, once I allowed myself to be more open to the idea of energies and frequencies and to learn more about them, I started to see how it could be true. Like, I wasn't all on board yet, but there's some actual science to back up some of the stuff that I'm going to be talking to you about, specifically around gratitude. And then once I started kind of playing around with the ideas of it and adding the mindset work into my own life, I started to actually really believe in it. So again, it's a process, kind of a journey. You know, you start, money is just numbers, money is just this, and then you start to be a little bit more open to the possibility, toy around with the ideas a little bit, and then eventually you get to that point where you kind of jump all in and you really start to believe it. And that's when everything starts to change. Okay. I've always been good with the budgeting side of money, obviously, and the numbers part of money, but I still lived in a paycheck to paycheck world. But once the mindset stuff started to click, everything shifted. Everything started to feel different, and money would kind of start to come in from all sorts of random places that I would have never been able to predict. So here's the thing. Your thoughts have an energy to them. You can actually feel the energy in your body, if you give yourself the chance, about different thoughts that you're having. So when you're having, for example, negative or stressful kind of thoughts, your body feels a certain way. You may feel tense, you may feel closed off, you may feel heavy. There's feelings that are associated with the thoughts that are running through your brain. When you're having positive or happy or excited kind of thoughts, again, your body feels a different way. It might feel more open, more energized, more kind of free. And that's how you can kind of measure, that's kind of the science without being sciencey, behind the thoughts and emotions. Your thoughts and emotions feel a different way in your body, and you can make yourself feel differently just by changing your thoughts. Now, those feelings, that energy, has a frequency or a vibration to it, okay? The higher the frequency, the better you feel, and the more you can then invite more good things into your life. So on a simplified level, high frequency is good, low frequency is bad. Now, there's not really a good or bad, but just for the generalization of it, that's kind of how it's laid out with frequencies, okay? So high frequency attracts more high frequency experiences. Low frequency attracts more low frequency experiences. So if you're feeling good, you tend to have more good things happen. If you're feeling bad or in a bad mood, you tend to notice and attract more bad things happening. Now, in this bonus training, I'm going to talk a little bit about a feeling that is the gateway to the higher frequencies, or at least that's what I call it. And that feeling is gratitude. Okay. Now, gratitude itself isn't always found on, there's charts, by the way. You can look up online, emotional frequency charts, and gratitude isn't always listed on there. I actually went looking, and on some of them it is, and some of them it is not. But when I found it, it actually isn't listed as a super high frequency emotion, okay? It's more of like a neutral territory. And that's something I've talked about in my free Facebook group, kind of frantic versus calm emotions. Gratitude is a calm emotion. It's a neutral kind of an emotion. But it's also one of the easiest emotions that you can shift into when it comes to money and abundance. You cannot reach an abundant money mindset without having gratitude first. Okay, so the practice of gratitude is really important on any kind of a money journey that you're on. So think of it this way. When you're having some money problems, you tend to be in a negative frame of mind. Again, bad thoughts. The negative thoughts lead to negative emotions, and that keeps you on a negative or a lower vibration. Again, the frequency, the vibration of those feelings is lower. When you're feeling worried, overwhelmed, hopeless, and just stressed around money, you're in like a downward spiral that will just attract more negative money experiences. Okay, you're going to notice more of the bad, more of the lack, more of the scarcity around the money, because that's where your own frequency is. Now, this is also partially due to programming. Okay, some of us have all of us have money stories, money beliefs, and things like that that keep us in a lower frequency realm when it comes to anything related to money, because society, family, schools, churches, whatever, however it was you were raised, teaches us that money is scarce. It teaches us that money is bad. You know the drill. There's all of these money thoughts, money stories, money baggage that we carry that teaches us basically to be afraid of money, to not enjoy money, to think that money is bad, all of that. Those are all low vibe kind of feelings. The frequency is low on all of those. Gratitude shifts you out of that spiral and upwards towards contentment and appreciation. Okay, so we want to get away from the low frequency and up to higher frequencies. That's the goal of the whole thing. When you practice gratitude each and every day for the things that you already have, and you really take the time to feel the feelings of gratefulness, okay, so it's not just I am grateful for this, I am grateful for that. You really want to feel those feelings, then you're literally shifting from a lower frequency space to a higher frequency space. When you can feel your body feel differently, that's how you know you've shifted. But the key here is to feel the feelings. That's going to interrupt the downward spiral and help you keep your vibration at a higher level more consistently, which will then begin to attract higher level thoughts and higher level experiences around your money. The more you can stay at a higher frequency, the more opportunities for higher frequency experiences can come your way. Now, most of us are stuck in one form or another in like scarcity, lack kind of thinking. That's very natural, that's very normal, it's a very human place to be. We want to try to practice to be higher more and more often. You don't necessarily need to jump from like, hey, I have no money to, hey, I'm a millionaire. That is hard for your brain to believe, but just incremental increases on that frequency level to where you're feeling a little bit better more often during the day will make huge changes throughout your life, which is why it's called a gratitude practice. Okay. Now it's a huge step in the right direction away from scarcity and lack and into abundance when you can learn to shift your frequency. Now, the reason we want to do this every day is twofold. First, we want to practice what it feels like to shift to a higher feeling each day to make it easier to recognize. Okay. In the beginning, especially if you're new in this world of feelings and energy and all of that, it can take some time to learn how to shift the feelings that you're having, right? A lot of times people don't notice the feelings. You're not thinking about the feelings. You just hear the thoughts going on and spitting out in your brain. So we don't want to get frustrated. We want to make sure you're patient with yourself as you're learning this new skill, because that's really what it is. Shifting your frequency is just a skill that takes practice and determination and some commitment, okay? Some days you're going to struggle to feel any kind of different, and other days it might happen in an instant where you can shift into gratitude really quickly. But when you practice, you can get better at shifting on demand. And that's, again, the key. The whole point is being able to tap into that feeling anytime. So when you notice you're starting to feel low, you can recognize, wait, I'm aware that I'm feeling at this level, but really I want to feel here. So you can practice shifting into that higher level, again, gratitude kind of feeling. Now, the second reason to practice gratitude is it challenges you to find the good in every single day, basically. When you look for things to be grateful for, you're shifting your perspective in order to find them, okay? When you learn to shift your perspective and find the good in any kind of a situation, your whole world can change. So when you are used to being in a lack or a scarcity kind of frequency, you are kind of trained, or it's habitual to look for lack and scarcity everywhere you are. Suddenly you notice you don't have enough for that, or you don't have enough for this, and that's just what you notice because that's what you're focusing on. When you learn to focus on what you do have and you're actively seeking out things to be grateful for, you're giving your brain a job to break it out of its habitual kind of negative lack kind of way of looking at things and giving it work to do to actually look for the good in things. The more you look for it, the more you're going to be able to find it. Now, I 100% believe that gratitude is a key to reaching that feeling of abundance. You know, a lot of people, when you're in any kind of a money program, you're typically wanting to feel better about your money. You might not realize that that's why you're there, but that's why you're there. And in order to get to the feeling better, gratitude is the key to practice that and to be able to really, really get there faster, basically. It's something I actually encourage for all of my one-on-one clients. We all start a gratitude practice. That's one of the first pieces of homework, for lack of a better word, is I have them get a gratitude journal of some kind so they can start tracking every single day to find something to be grateful for and then feel those feelings. So by practicing gratitude each and every day, you learn to catch and shift those autopilot thoughts faster. Again, remember, your thoughts are just kind of habits. You're habitually thinking the same thoughts all the time. You want to be aware of those thoughts, and when you can catch them, that's when you can shift them faster and get up to that higher frequency. And eventually that helps to reprogram the thoughts completely. Again, if your thoughts are habits, you know, the thoughts that you think are just habitual, that means you can change them because you could add habits, you could change habits. It just takes repetition and practice. All right, so what do I mean by practicing gratitude each day? I obviously recommend beginning a gratitude journal. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It could just be some sort of notebook where you can record things that you're grateful for every day. Some days it'll feel like you're just doing it to check off the box, and that's okay. But the goal is to really sit and, again, develop and cultivate those feelings of gratitude. You'll know it, you'll feel it when it happens. If you think about something, you know, whether it's your family, it's not just oh yeah, I'm grateful for my family. If you think of something specific about your family, I use the example of a cup of coffee sometimes. It sounds silly, but being grateful for a cup of coffee, but allow yourself to feel what that feels like, the smell of it, the warmth of it, how it makes you feel when you take that first sip in the morning. There's feelings that you're trying to get to happen when you're getting into this space of gratitude. You want to feel those feelings as often as possible to learn to recognize them. So once you can tap into that feeling, and again, by journaling, doesn't have to be anything fancy, but by listing out things you're grateful for and trying to really feel what that feels like, then you can start to recognize that feeling, okay? And that's the goal. We want to see what that feels like and be able to notice what that feels like so we can bring ourselves back there again. The morning time is a great time to do your gratitude practice. Obviously, there's not a right or a wrong time, but I do recommend it's consistent at the same time every day as often as possible. I like morning because it allows you to start the day on your right foot. But a lot of people like it before bed because it's a great time let me start that over again. Before bed is a great time because you're then thinking about all the good things and feeling gratitude as you fall asleep. Okay, so that obviously will help you sleep better too instead of spinning out in your brain. The time of day, again, really doesn't matter. Forming the habit of looking for the good every day and feeling it is what does matter. So practicing gratitude is a first step in reaching that elusive, abundant kind of state that everybody is looking for. And I 100% believe it's going to change your life and open the doors to more abundance if you let it. So if you haven't already started a gratitude practice, I do highly, highly, highly recommend you get yourself a journal and start right now. Start listing out things that you could be grateful for. It doesn't have to be different things every day. It could be 3 things. It could be 5 things, even if it's just one thing to start with. But you really want to get in the habit of looking for new things. So don't just list your family every single day and leave it be, because then it becomes, it's just kind of something that happens in the background. Then you're not really actively seeking something to be grateful for. You're not always feeling the feelings of gratefulness then. So really be mindful when you're doing it and make it into a practice that you really enjoy. You'll feel so much better after you're done with it. And you'll see your life start to change. Hope you enjoyed this and hope you will be starting your gratitude practice right away.